Well, here we are, everybody. We are now returning to TVXQ, and this is going to be something that actually I kind of thought about. Maybe we do like a small event once in a while, and it's like, for example, maybe I call this like Cassiopeia tapes, and we are going to be doing, let's see here, TVXQ, JYJ, and Jaejoong all together. And yeah, something like that. So, a little while ago, this is why I say your comments are never safe. But this was a recommendation in the comments when I did Bolero last. And somebody said, if you think Bolero is their best performed song live, you need to look at Love in the Ice by in the Tokyo Dome. So I said, you know what? Bet. If they can outperform on this and make this sound better than Bolero, yeah, that is something that we definitely need to check out. So here we go, returning to TVXQ, and this is Love in the Ice.
その手君のせいじゃない幼き日々をた気づけが
Nice.
誰かを愛することを恐れてるの言葉の裏側背に来て抱きしめた心が氷のようにそっと溶け出す
Brutal.
誰もが誰かに愛されるためにどのように命をきらめかせるのさそれがもしも僕ならもう一度君の心を
These harmonies are crazy. Jeez. So emotive. Good Lord. TVXQ is on a whole other level. insane belting. Whoa, putting in some grit. Perfectly done. No way. No way. That is insane. This made me actually just really want to have a this made me really just want to have a TVXQ comeback. Oh my goodness, this is actually so crazy. One thing that I do remember, when he's got his long hair and is sweaty like this, your face is going to get melted off with just like the craziest vocals ever too. I do remember that. The belting in this song is definitely the main point. And I remember the interesting thing is between like this and Bolero is that I feel like Bolero is probably a little bit more dramatic, where this is definitely more ballady, and at least that's what it feels like to me. And to me, this is like a very crazy display of technique and prowess in the vocal department. And Bolero is kind of feels like that they were throwing everything they had, but this is just feels more like a surgical precision of a knife, you know, carving out just an insane performance. Now, this doesn't say that. Now that I'm not saying that this isn't like as impressive, or you know, it still has crazy belting, but it just feels like that this is a little bit more controlled, if that makes sense. It's been a hot minute since we've been with TVXQ, and it's just like, this is one of those moments, you know, when you remember something for the first time and like suddenly everything's like starts running through on replay and you're just kind of overwhelmed with the return of information. That's kind of what I'm going through right now. And it's just, now I'm sitting here thinking to myself, why is nobody talking about TVXQ nowadays? Now I understand that they're a little less active, but I mean, come on, this could be a group that you could say would be a big four group. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? No. The biggest theme for me, though, like, let aside technique, prowess, vocal stability, whatever you want to say, the thing that I think is the biggest winner here is the conveyance of emotion. The ability that they have in this to be able to just really get the point across of, this is what I am feeling, and there's no way for you to escape the feeling at all. This is one of those moments where, like, if you don't feel the emotion and what they're singing, like, I don't know if there's anything that could ever make you feel an emotion. I could see why that this person who recommended this said put this up against Bolero. Now, I don't know if I could honestly choose. I think I'd have to kind of compare them side by side and really do like a deep breakdown in my brain. But yeah, I could see why that this was suggested. Anyway, let's move on. And for JYG, we are doing a performance of In Heaven, 100% live. And this says 100% breathtaking. I believe it. Let's check it.
지금 와서 말할 수가 없어 너의 기적 그 모든 게 환상 같아 마지막 네 모습도 서서히 기억 속에만 잠겨져 가는 것만 같아 어딘가에서 날 보고 있을까
Still got it.
추억의 그림자에 촉촉한 내 눈물들로 그 자리를 지켜보고 있어 난
Beautiful.
못해, 정말 못해 네가 내 옆에 있을 때만큼 미안한데 그게 안 돼 이젠 모든 게 떨려와 조금 더 기다리다 꿈속을 헤매이다 결국 네 안에서 눈을 감을까봐 가지마 더 가지마 내 곁에 있어줄 수는 없니 거짓말 다 거짓말
Interesting. Goodness.
벌써 이렇게도 지내왔어 너의 흔적 찾아봐도 지워졌어 마지막 네 기억도 눈물에 태웠어
Great pass-offs.
잠겨져가는 것만 같아 이만 끝내 나를 끝내 네가 내 옆에 있지 않다면 미안한데 이만 갈게 이제 너의 길을 따라 끝없는 길을 따라 널 찾아 헤매이다 결국 너를 잃고서 슬퍼만 할까봐
That's a decent sized crowd. Whoa, belting all those veins. I love that reaching. my gosh. Woo! That's a decent sized crowd too. Holy, they must have been big. They must have had a decent sized following. I mean, I'm sure a lot of Cassiopeia had probably followed, but that's that's not a small attendance there. I always say this, and again, it's just the reiteration. This kind of performance to me is like so necessary to really test your metal. Like, if you're gonna say we are a vocalist group, we focus on vocals, we are trying to be the pinnacle that we can be in terms of vocals, this is the type of song that you want to like be able to write and sound good in, because again, it's just them in the piano. In a lot of ways, I think this could just go up just as well with Love and Ice and with Bolero, because truth is, it's just them and that piano, and there is parts in this that go completely a cappella. That is huge, because it's like I always say, if you're driving a car at 150 miles an hour, that steering wheel becomes the most sensitive that it can be. One small, even an eighth movement will cause you to veer into a wall. Same thing when you're just belting it out, like especially when it's just you and maybe one instrument. Every single flaw, every single inflection, every single possibility that could and might go wrong is more visible than ever. So when you get this and you can just be just you and the crowd and the piano, and you are out there and you're nailing it, that it's nerves of steel. It's nerves of steel, because honestly, that's probably your biggest enemy is, do I have the chops to come up here and put something down like this? And the answer for this is yes, they do. And we know this. This was no question. But truly seeing it in just such a completely stripped down version, absolutely wild to see how good they are. I mean, and the truth is that another thing is, this is a first good impression out of it, obviously, but I mean, we knew that it was going to be. They understand what works. This is the thing, is like, do I feel like this is much different from a lot of the stuff that we got from TVXQ? Not necessarily. I mean, obviously it's a couple less members, but they're carrying on that legacy of what we know. And don't fix what's not broken. That's the thing here. Like, this is beautiful. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I think in some ways, yes. I mean, I know a lot of people feel that in today's K-pop, there is this lacking. And sometimes I feel like that's a both good and bad thing. Like, yes, I do think that it could stand that we could kind of get that that old school competition for good singers, rather than just putting out a bunch of crystal tone singers. But it doesn't mean that like every single singer is bad. There's a fine balance here. But to me, I would definitely like to see some people definitely strive to have a little bit more vocals in their performances like this. And I feel like that right now, especially, I would say that K-pop is more in a fashion trend where it's all about visuals a little bit more. And I think that it's good that we have a couple of groups that are plugging in and putting in really good vocals. But I wish that stuff like this would still come through, you know. I'm like I said, I'm not necessarily one to try and hate on modern day K-pop, because I feel like that's done to death, and it's just like, okay, whatever. But there is something to be said. Like, when you listen to this is the legacy. This is the roots of where we're at, you know.
나의 촉촉한 내 눈물들로 그 자리를 지켜보고 있어.
One thing I will say about this compared to TVXQ, it's a little bit grittier. There is a little bit extra grit in those vocals. Like, obviously the harmonies and stuff like that still on par, but I was sitting here listening to this, I was thinking to myself, that is kind of grit that we don't generally get from these kinds of songs in TVXQ.
난 못해 정말 못해 네가 내 옆에 있을 때만큼 미안한데 그게 안 돼 이젠 모든 게 떨려와 조금 더 기다리다 꿈속을 헤매이다 결국 네 안에서 눈을 감을까봐 가지마 더 가지마 내 곁에 있어줄 수는 없니
Okay, a couple of questions before we move on to the next song. One, if you have any recommendations, let me know. Two, is there enough material in JYJ to actually do a 1 week club? I want to know. That would be really cool. Anyway, very good first introduction to JYJ. Oh my goodness. And to end it off, we are going to be doing Jaejoong Mine. And sadly enough, I didn't quite have enough time to really dig in to find a good vocal or a good live. So we're going to be doing the music video for this. And that's fine. Let's check it out. Whoa, what visuals. Yo.
사람 같아 넌 피우면서 기는 폭주의 배튼도 이미 난 익숙한 돈 왜 이렇게 시끄럽게 소리 지를까 오케이 꿈은 깨줄게 왜 허무해 여긴 오지마 나의 바다야 생각지도 못
A lot grittier. Got some fry on that.
나의 바다야 나를 비추대 양말도 가리려 하지마
Yeah, that's good. Very cinematic. Holy cow.
달콤한 그대도 너무 달아 날 온통 삼켜버려 왜 이렇게 시끄럽게 하고 다닐까 오케이 울려퍼지게 말할게
That's sick.
여긴 오지마 나의 바다야 여기마저 연배 버릴까 두려워 내 바다야 나의 바다야 나를 비춘 데
This feels so emo to me. Okay. What? Oh my gosh. Oh man. The inner emo in me just came back to life there for a minute. I can even see like the black fingernail paint coming back on too, and just like, ah! This feels so good. No, this is I was not expecting this. If I was to be honest, I was expecting more like what we just got from those lives, but yeah, this is, it's interesting because when it comes to like goth and emo, like obviously emo is kind of a little more set, but this is kind of how I always pictured more like goth garb, like this, like the big, dramatic. Obviously I probably think would have like long black hair, but like this outfit to me is also like very on par, maybe slightly underdressed, but this is like spot on for what I would expect. It to me, it's almost like the best way to explain this is that this feels like Castlevania, and that is to me like in a lot of ways, if you're looking like Alucard, that's like king of goth for me in a lot of ways. But this feels very in that vein, and I was very surprised. Like I said, I was expecting more softer vocals, maybe like a song about like, oh, you belong to me, something like that, something more poppy. But this is like straight into the fire. It's like making me feel nostalgic. That's what's crazy. But the thing is that is a little bit different is maybe there is a little bit more dramaticism in like terms of a theatrical styling rather than keeping like that like that really dark brooding feel. But to me, I mean, I think it works. I want those boots. You could slot this in seriously in an emo playlist, and I don't think anybody would bat an eye. Yeah, this is making me like very nostalgic. So yeah, very good first impression for sure. But again, any other recommendations from his solo stuff, please let me know. And yeah, this is cool. Let me know what y'all think about this. We'll discuss this in the comments below. Thank you, and goodbye.